Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you again for joining us here at our second webinar of the quarter. But first, network, then apply. I really appreciate your attendance today. We wanted to get started here with a reminder about sound. If you're having any troubles or issues with your sound, definitely try and log back out or log in again. You can also utilize the audio area of the functions across the top of your screen to dial in if you're having additional sounds with your speakers. With that said, throughout the presentation, if you have any questions that you would like to pose to our team, please type them into the Q&A and we will address them during our Q&A session. With that, in the best interest of time, let's go ahead and get started. Today, we are going to talk about networking. We're going to talk about what it is. We're going to talk about some myths, and then the all-important start networking and how to do that, where to identify those opportunities. So with that, we'll go ahead and talk about what it is. What is networking? Why should I be doing it? And to put it mildly and really briefly, really professional networking can be formal, it can be informal, it can be in person, it can be online. But why is it important? Networking, it continues to be the top source of hiring for employers and for organizations. So when we're talking about the importance of networking in your job search today, it's really about getting yourself in front of professionals and becoming that professional in that field, becoming a brand, making yourself be that expert in the field and build relationships. It can be done in a variety of forms and formats. So conversations with colleagues at work, talking about projects. You can be at your son's hockey game, which I do frequently. And I know a variety of people in a variety of industries that come to conversations and really can be impactful in your career. You never know when you're going to have that conversation with a person. It can be done at your local coffee shop and just walking through Target. So, really looking and identifying the opportunities when you get a chance. It doesn't have to be anything practiced or planned. It can happen anywhere and it can be truly organic. With that, let's talk about networking myths. What is it that you commonly hear about networking? And we're going to dispel some of those myths and rumors. So, networking is only for job seekers. That's when the majority of people really think about networking the most, I think. It's about asking for a favor and why should I be doing it unless I need a job? But the truth is, it's all about developing quality professional relationships, and that takes time. It's not only about when you're job searching, it is about building yourself as a professional and taking advantage of those relationships when you ultimately do need them. So it's really about taking that time and taking a moment, not necessarily even as you're job searching, but doing the work prior, 6 months prior at the minimum. But it's really about the long game. It's about establishing yourself as that expert and building the relationships so you can take advantage of them at a later date. Networking is not only about the job search, it's about developing the brand and exchanging of knowledge, helping others. And it's not only about you, it's about a mutual exchange. So you can't go into it asking for a favor, especially with people you don't know. So that's why it's important to think about it a long time before you start job searching and really taking advantage of those relationships when that time comes. What's also important to understand here is that networking isn't entirely about the ask, and nor should it stop once you land a job. It should be something that you're doing all the time. It's always an exchange. It's always an evolution and about staying in touch. The next myth is I don't have time to network. And I don't have the ability to go out and do the networking that it takes to, I don't have the time commitment to put into it. And really, the myth here is that networking can happen anywhere and again can be done via any medium and in any fraction of time. It doesn't have to be an event that you go to for an hour and upon hours of time. It can be done over a lunch hour during a conversation at, again, a hockey game. It can be done at the grocery store while you're in line and you happen to run into a person who you notice in scrubs and works as a nurse and you want to be a nurse. So you can take those opportunities whenever they present themselves. You'd be surprised how many lasting professional relationships occur by happenstance. And it's about taking advantage of the network that you currently have and then building upon that in your professional setting in the brand and the field that you want to be in. So it's important that you're actively seeking out networking opportunities and engaging in them, whether it be in person, at an event, online, through LinkedIn, or in that by chance meeting. Another myth is that you must be an extrovert. This one I take to heart really because I am very much an introvert at heart. And probably she's on a webinar, she's talking, she doesn't sound like an extrovert. Believe me, it is about comfort. So you do have to engage, you do have to get in there and really start doing it in order to get that comfort level. The more that you do it, the easier it becomes. And again, at the end of the day, it's not about being an extrovert, it's about building meaningful connection. And that can be done through one-on-one conversations. Even when you go to these large conferences or events, it is really about building that intimate connection with an individual. It's not about getting in as many as you can. It's not about getting up there on a stage necessarily. It is about the connection and the relationship. You don't want to simply get into it and get out of it. It's not a transactional thing. You want to get you want to get in there, have a conversation, talk about aspirations. And it's beyond the how can you help me conversation. Like I talked about before, it needs to be a meaningful conversation and it needs to be a two-way exchange. It is more about how did you get started in this career? I'd love to learn more about what you encountered as you started becoming an accountant. What were your challenges? How did you get through those tough challenges? Tell me about your company. Tell me about your organization. What do you really love about it? What do you think that somebody new to the field should know? It's really about information gathering and again that exchange. That's really what networking is. So, what is the next step here? It's about getting started, getting your feet wet, getting your foot in the door, right? You want to make sure that you're getting out there and putting yourself out there. You can do this for through a variety of ways. Where do you start? You can start by renewing those old broken connections, right? Look to the people that you haven't had time to nurture and haven't had a conversation with in a while. And that can be people that have been in careers that you've had previously, but are not related to the field you want to go to moving forward. Those professional connections are more about the field, more than about the field, I should say. It is about establishing yourself as a professional, and that can take on a variety of things. Don't think about it just as I'm going to be a medical assistant, so I only have to network with medical assistants. While that is important, it is not the only thing that's important. It's about building yourself as a professional. So it's that transferable skill set you have as much as it is about the skill set that you have pertaining to that career. So talk to old managers, have conversations with them, build your network, get to know other people in the field. Utilize LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great way to get into professional networking groups. They have groups upon groups in LinkedIn that you can search related to any field. You can join our university job board, Handshake. Handshake allows you to look up employers. It allows you to connect with people that have posted positions in there. It allows you to connect with a fellow alumni from Rasmussen University. So being able to have that connection and establish those relationships with people that you have in common, that have managed you in the past, and that can speak to your character. That's just the foundation, but you want to build on it from there. Start following companies of interest on LinkedIn. Get engaged with professional associations related to your field, especially in your market. Go to job fairs, attend public events, join networking events, school events, professional conferences, even your volunteer opportunities and your clinical opportunities are important networking opportunities. They establish you as a professional and they get you involved in your field with other professionals. And it's really about, again, that exchange of information. So, really exploring every opportunity at the end of the day as a networking opportunity will be advantageous for you. Getting that practice and getting engaged and engaging often and frequently is going to be the important part of networking. And with that, we'll go through our Q&A section. We really appreciate you taking the time to attend the meeting. If you have any questions, you can type them into the Q&A and we'll answer those in a moment. But with that, we want to take the opportunity to not only share the fact that this recording will be archived along with our many other recordings and previous events. You can find them on our YouTube channel. And more importantly, you can follow Rasmussen Career Services on Facebook related to any future events, our resources, and definitely, again, take the time to type in a Q&A chat here if you have any additional questions as it pertains to networking.
Mhm.
And Amy, I'll open the floor to you if you have any questions that have come in.
Sure, I have one here. Can interacting in discussion posts in my courses be considered networking?
Absolutely, 100%. You are engaging with other people, even if you're in a general class that's not specific to your field, you can be engaged in a conversation with other professionals that can give you a different perspective, give you different ideas. So always tapping somebody else and getting additional feedback and creating that professional connection is always helpful. And especially in your field related courses, those are going to be people that you potentially will be working side by side with as another professional in the field. And with that, even your instructors in your class can be considered networking opportunities. So those should be the first people in your school and your education that you do try to connect with on not only on LinkedIn, but a variety of other places. Establish that bond and that relationship.
Mm, very good. And we had another one come in. How do you start a networking conversation with a stranger? It seems kind of weird.
Yeah. And it can be really scary. We talked about the extrovert versus the introvert, right? So you definitely don't want to start going up there and start a conversation by, "Hey, I'm looking for a job. Do you know about anything?" You want to start by saying, "Hi, my name is Melissa Wagner. I am working as a career services manager in the higher education field. And I noticed that you were a director of career services. I would love to pick your brain about how career services works at your institution. What are your challenges?" And start and lead the conversation from there. Let that be an exchange of information and more of an information gathering versus an asking of a favor to start with.
Very good. Now, you mentioned hockey games, and someone is asking here, what are some other places that you've seen networking take place?
Yeah, I mean, really, it can be anywhere, right? So I've had instances, again, my son plays hockey, so that's where the hockey games came from, right? So I've had people, we have a variety of friends and family members that always attend these games, right? So we have had actually in a situation where we had one of our parents' sons was graduating from college, watching his brother play on the ice. But one of our coaches and one of the other parents are actually they're financial advisors. And he was in a program to graduate from finance. So he took that opportunity at a hockey game, no less. And at the
Mhm.
pregame and the postgame, that people like to go out and have dinner after the game. The team gets to celebrate and, have that piece. But they took it as a networking opportunity to pick that person's brain about the finance field and becoming a financial advisor. And that can open up doors and connections. So, again, you can look at your local chamber for events. You can look at career fairs. You can take advantage of people that you know at a hockey game. But again, starting with those foundations is going to be important. You never know who somebody knows, even if they themselves don't work in the field.
That's great. You just reminded me of an experience I had working with a student in the health information field, and she was sitting in a waiting room waiting to get new tires on her vehicle.
Mhm.
And uh, the lady next to her just started chatting, and she said, "I'm a student at Rasmussen University." Well, it happened that the lady worked at a healthcare facility and gave her
Mhm.
her business card. So,
Mhm.
again, you really don't know
Mhm.
where you might meet
Yeah.
someone that can help you out.
Yeah, definitely. And take that. We didn't actually tap into informational interviewing, which is definitely a
Mhm.
form of networking. Informational interviewing can be not only about getting to know the employer and what the employer does and their mission and all of that, which is invaluable, and it gets you in front of that employer, but it can be about just building that network and getting your name out there. Yeah, I'm a student. I am going to school for an accounting degree. And, I want to learn a little bit about more about CB Richard Ellis and what they do and what their mission is involved in and what their challenges are. So getting yourself out there and getting connections and building connections with other people is the most valuable thing you can do. And you can do that online too. It doesn't have to be, again, in person. It can be through a LinkedIn request and following an organization. It can be as you're sitting and waiting for your tires to get changed out at Tires Plus. It can be anywhere,
Right,
but just
right.
keeping an eye out and having that radar on for those opportunities and always behaving professionally, even if you're sitting there in your sweats and getting your tires changed. Your behavior and how you carry yourself is the important part of that conversation.
Very good, very good. And you, in mentioning LinkedIn, I know there's so much information you can gather
Oh
about,
yeah.
type in a job title, type
Hmm.
in a company you're familiar with, and
Hmm.
if you can, get in touch with a recruiter or something and ask to have informational interview,
Hmm.
could be a start of something. If nothing else,
Absolutely.
you'll learn something.
Right. And the thing about LinkedIn, you're right on so many of those. It's even about looking at your mutual connections, right?
Mm,
You see that your husband, my husband works for Wells Fargo. So I'm connected with him on LinkedIn. You can't treat LinkedIn and other professional networking sites like you do your Facebooks of the world,
mm,
right? It's not about, talking about your barbecue and all of those things. It's about your professional self. So making sure it speaks to your professional self, but seeing that hey, my husband is actually connected through a connection at his work whose wife works in career development.
mm,
So I might want to actually connect with her and reach out to her, send a friend request or a professional connection request, and just in that note say, hey, we're mutual connections of so and so.
yes.
And I was wondering, I noticed that you work as a director of career development or a career development instructor. And I would love to pick your brain about how you instruct that course and the things that you talk about and any things that, how you got your start in the field. Would you be interested in connecting for 5 minutes over the phone or over a, Google Meet or whatever that looks like? If they're in your area, let's go over to Starbucks. Do you want to meet somewhere public? You want to start those in public, don't freak people out. And have a quick cup of coffee and talk about the industry. Those are quick, easy conversations. They can take place anywhere and via any medium, especially in today's day and age.
Mhm.
Use technology, reach out to people across the country.
Exactly. I always say, again, in this day and age, there's no reason why you shouldn't have always a good list of professional references. Keeping in touch with people you worked with or worked for along the
Hmm.
way is so much easier. LinkedIn is one of my favorites.
Hmm.
I'm connected with so many people, and you keep track of them that way. If
Right.
you're connected with them, you'll get a pop-up saying so and so
Yeah.
starting a new job at, and it's fun to say, hey, congratulations. Good to hear
Yes.
from you, you know?
Absolutely,
Mm,
100%. And again, it's about maintaining that relationship. It doesn't mean that you have to, connect with them every day and send them a
Oh,
message. That can get exhausting, right?
yeah.
But if you stay in touch every so often, drop a quick hello, how are things going? Especially with your instructors, I have so many students that come to us after the fact and they're like, I need a professional recommendation. And the people that that used to manage me, or I've never held a job before, a full-time job before. So now who do I talk to? Establish those relationships with your instructors because you don't want that to be a transactional relationship where they don't remember you. The best references are those that can speak to your skill set and can
Mhm.
speak to your work ethic, right? So when you are going to apply to jobs and those first networking people are people who've instructed you in a course, that's just as valuable as somebody who's instructed you or managed you at a
Absolutely.
business. So that network is really important. And especially if you have a challenge with work history or anything like that,
Mhm.
those people, those connections can prove to be very useful to you down the line. So maintain and manage those relationships and have them become more than just submitting an assignment, submitting, your paperwork or submitting a discussion post. Have it be a relationship.
Absolutely. Well, it looks like we have taken care of our questions for today. So
Perfect.
thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Again, we will be recording and sending out this webinar to all of our attendees, and we will have those archived again in our YouTube channel, which you can find on the student portal. If you have any additional questions, you can definitely review all of our resources available in the student portal, as well as our Career Services Facebook page and our YouTube channel. We appreciate you attending, and we wish you very, very good luck in your future networking endeavors.
Mm, Very good. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.